Alright, hey everybody. So, today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about the latest hot topic in Dead by Daylight. So, recently there's been a bit of a debate rose up between content creators and fog whisperers Scott Jund and True Talent. Well, I figured I'd talk about it a little bit while I played some Nurse, because why not? Sorry if I sound a little rough, it's a bit earlier in the morning, but I'll try to be as coherent as I can. So, this all started when Scott Jund basically brought up the spirit debate yet again. And frankly, in his videos, he claims he wants to be proven wrong, but in one of his videos he quite literally said that in his opinion, if you think that you are actually outplaying a spirit, that you're full of shit. Which is kind of a interesting way of going about it, especially when claiming you're trying to be proven wrong. He did have a few players that did really well with his little spirit challenge he was setting up. I tried to do it myself to throw my hat in the ring, but I never got the chance to, at least not yet. And so, in response, True was talking about how, he's one of us, one of the group of people, myself included, that feels like Spirit does have her ways of being played around. And I think Scott is just looking at this through too narrow of a lens. But, regardless, True made the comment about Survivor Friends and how Survivor Friends, which frankly they don't have any real counterplay for being Survivor Friends, not really. He was talking about it on social media, and that just kind of got a back and forth going, especially when Scott made a video as a reply to True Talent, basically picking a couple games from his stream and basically trying to claim that Survivor Friends isn't really that as big of an issue, and that True just uses them as an excuse when he loses at times. And that basically sent Scott's followers into a bit of a hate train against True. Some people have even been calling it a witch hunt. And True has had that happen to him a few times in the past. For some reason, his opinions on the game are just wildly unpopular with the more survivor-based part of Dead by Daylight's community. And they're always targeting him, trying to talk him down, trying to say he's like this. But I'm going to tell you what. I have watched this guy since before I even started playing Dead by Daylight. In fact, he's the main reason I wanted to really play it. That, and combined with the fact that my buddies at the time were trying to convince me to play it because it was coming out for free on PlayStation Plus 3 years ago. And I've been playing the game ever since. You know, I've built what little I have when it comes to my content creation, all mostly up on this game. And I just kind of wanted to give my thoughts and opinions on the whole thing. True believes that Survivor Friends should have some kind of a debuff or penalty in order to compensate for the fact that they have so many more advantages than solos. Now, this is where I kind of agree with Scott Jund a little bit. I do not think that giving a debuff to Survivor Friends is the correct answer, because that is a fair point. You shouldn't be punishing people for playing with their friends. It does give an advantage. There's no way you can deny this. But once again, you can't really punish people for wanting to play with their buddies. And that's where I differ from True in that regard. Now, something needs to be done about Survivor Friends. But I think the real solution here is that, once again, I'm kind of in Scott Jund's camp a little bit. Not completely, but the best solution would be to strengthen solos to Survivor Friends level, and then I think killers should be given some things to compensate for that fact, because it's basically unanimously agreed upon by, well, just about everybody who's not just one-trick Survivor main, that this game is geared in the survivor's favor once you get to the higher levels of play, and it makes the game very frustrating and makes it feel hopeless at times. But the problem is they're balancing for 3 different groups of people: the solo players, the killer players, and the survivor friends. And that's an impossible situation. There's no way you're going to be able to balance for all 3, especially when survivor friends and solos are still pretty wildly different in terms of maximum potential. So I think that they just need to close that gap, finally get on that, and then see where everything lands. If they manage to do that, then we might be able to see a really good shift for Dead by Daylight. So let's see. Aw, it didn't let me swing. Oh, that is more than mildly disappointing. She clearly didn't expect me to do that, though. That wasn't even in my field of view, but yeah. Fuck. This map is really dark. I'm doing so terribly right now. Whew. I hate flashlight players. They're just no fun to deal with, ever.
Seriously, right?
Am I a sorcerer? Oh, I don't think so. Oh, hey, Comedy Corpse, how you doing? Oh. Damn it. I can't see a damn thing on this map. Oh, piss off, game. Ugh. Tell me I can't blink through that shit.
Hey man, in doing good thanks. Weekend is finally here.
Hey, there you go. I know how that is. I look forward to the weekend every week.
How about you, buddy? Is your new connection holding well?
For the moment, yeah. It has some inconsistencies, but it's definitely better than it was. I played that so wrong. But yeah, I was just making a video. So I'm throwing in some nurse gameplay with it. Nothing too great, I'm unfortunately gonna have to say, but it's nurse, it's difficult. And this map I'm playing on is very dark. I like the darker maps for
Nurse, I don't know how you play her. I always get frustrated playing her.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting a tad frustrated too, so that's just how it is. I'm just used to it though, because I spent a long time trying to master her, but I got rusty because I stopped playing her for a while. I have no good sight lines on her. It's gonna be some potato gameplay this time, but I'm not warmed up at all, and I just wanted to mainly talk about the topic of the video. I basically gave my opinions on the whole. I don't know. I mean, I think you saw the whole situation that went down with True and Scott, right? Nice, the truck blocked my blink, but it's all good, I guess. And then there's the last gen. Cool, cool, cool. Very rewarding experience. Scott Jund. Don't know if you know who he is. Scott Jund in True Talent.
No.
Hey, Blackwing. Well, basically, it was a big Survivor Friends debate. It got kind of ugly. Let's just say Scott's... I'm talking to somebody in my stream. Good morning, by the way. Oh, basically, Scott Jund started up the old spirit debate yet again, and basically True disagreed with his opinion and mentioned Survivor Friends and all that. Well, then Scott decided he wanted to make a counter video, basically initiating a roast against True, even though he was saying it was more of a debate format, but it was really just a roast session because he took 2 games from his stream where he lost and basically was saying stuff like, oh, well, you say Survivor Friends most of the time when you've lost your match, or blah, 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 blah. So. And so it was kind of a it was a cop-out. Like, there's no other way of looking at it. It was a straight cop-out against True, and they, and so Scott's followers kind of went on a witch hunt for True, and they were BMing him on his stream and everything else. Scott didn't call for them to do it, but Scott's community's kinda, I can they're definitely very sheepish. Yeah. But
Sounds like Winnie babies with influencable idiots.
well, the thing is, I understand where Scott comes from on a lot of his issues. I just don't agree with him. However, Scott's community is very hoity-toity because they hang off every word that he says. That's kind of the problem. I think it's because I think like Scott was like a game dev for some game. I forget what game it was. It was some small game, I think. I guess that since he was one of the developers for that game, that they kind of just view everything he says as absolute truth. But the problem with Scott is when he tries to debate about something, he doesn't really leave much room for a counter debate. He just kind of presents everything as if anything that is against what he's saying isn't factual and has no chance to be factual. Even though at the same time he claims he wants to have his mind changed on the whole spirit thing. And yet he had a pro player on one of his spirit tests. He he had one of those players like do actually pretty good against his spirit challenge, but then he turned right back around and said, well, it only worked because he threw down pallets quickly. It's like, yeah, and your argument is that there's nothing you can do, but there's clearly something you can do, even if you have to use more pallets than usual. That's not, spirit's not the only killer you have to use pallets rapidly on. I mean, look at Leatherface or Demogorgon. Any of those. Hell, Nemesis is going to be a hell of a pallet burner himself when he comes out. Yeah. Since that was... yeah. Because he managed to last in the chase for a pretty good amount of time. And I was even, he even had some gameplay footage in the background while he was saying this, of the guy doing the spirit challenge. And there was a couple times where he straight up out-predicted him. And then he was like, well, I talked to the pro players afterwards, and even then they said they were still just basically guessing. It's like, what do you think every mind game a killer ever does is? You're just guessing. Like, LT walls, that's a 50-50. You can't really guarantee the survivor's going to vault that window. And if you guess wrong, you get punished heavily for it. The way I've been trying... Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I basically have come to the conclusion, in my experience, playing both these killers and going against both of them, I think going against Spirit is very similar to going up against a nurse and how you're supposed to execute it. Because every Spirit has a preferred way of phasing. Like Scott Junn likes to use the short phase strategy, where he only phases for a very short time in order to basically throw off whoever he's chasing, and then, also make it to where his power will recharge rather quickly. Some spirits like to go for the longer range phases, and, there's spirits that prefer to counter-rotate, some spirits who will just follow your trail so you can make use of that. And then it basically works a lot like that. It's like how you're trying to predict where Nurse is going to blink at. It's very similar. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why they're the top tiers. They give you less room to you. I actually like that analogy. That's pretty good. Yeah. Or in this case, you're forced to do things differently. Because with pretty much every other killer in the game, hugging the loop and holding onto it as long as you can is usually the better option. But Spirit and Nurse, you don't do that. In fact, there are some jukes against these killers where leaving the loop is by far the better option. Because, I mean, you think a Spirit is always going to predict that you're going to run away from a loop as soon as she can't see you? Hell no. She's going to expect you to do what the survivors typically do, and hug that pallet as long as you can. Because that is what every other killer has indoctrined you into doing. Because it works. But it doesn't work against Spirit. At least not fully, not as well. And so, once people are put into that situation, they don't understand what they need to do, and so they just assume there's nothing they can do. Now, I can understand... I can... yeah. Damn, I couldn't think of that. But yeah, I definitely see, like, the whole Strider Spirit thing. It's like, okay, you could definitely make a little argument for that. And it's like, but the only question on that is, like, should Strider counter Iron Will, or should Iron Will counter Strider? I personally think the first, just because being silent in Dead by Daylight for Survivor is extremely powerful. And I really think there should be some counterplay to that. And plus, there's really no reason to ever run Strider if it gets countered by a perk that's so easily, you know.
I haven't played DDD in a while, but the game is what it is. You need to adapt to your killer and the player's class style. It's never easy or age.
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah. Well, that's what it turned into. Like, he was talking about the Spirit debate, but then True made a comment about Survivor Friends and how strong they are, and then suggested his idea to debuff Survivor Friends. Now, while I don't agree with him that that's the proper way to handle it, there is something that needs to be done about them. Because they're just too effective, which is why, frankly, they need to be trying to close the gap between solos and Survivor Friends, so that they can balance this game around survivors versus killers, not survivors versus killers versus solos versus Survivor Friends. It could be. Well, some people have been claiming that's behavior of been trying to turn this into a competitive game, when it's like, well, there's nothing wrong with a game being fair. I don't understand why there's this stigma that in order for a game to be balanced, it has to be competitive. It's like, even Mario Party has to be balanced. Well, hence the reason why it's better just to bring everybody onto the same footing. That way we're no longer fighting a three-way battle for trying to figure out where the right middle ground is. Trying to find a happy medium between three different groups is just not going to be possible. I mean, I kind of, I will say, Scott did have a pretty good idea with the whole ping system. Giving survivors a basic form of communication like that would go a long way, but at the same time, it wouldn't straight up give everybody constant UAV information on the killer. They wouldn't know. Yes. But I mean, you can't give Survivor Friends, I mean, you can't give solos every bit of information Survivor Friends has. That's straight up game breaking. But at least, if you give them enough to where they can get by, then you can balance around the Survivor Friends a bit better without having to worry about completely kneecapping your lower end of the player base. Dude, I am playing like such shit today. I cannot blink to save my fucking life. I mean, that's not helping, but I'm just not playing right at all. I have gotten rusty with Nurse like so bad that it's actually annoying to me. Because this is my favorite killer and I'm playing terribly with her, and that just kind of kills my joy of the game. So I'm gonna have to practice with her again. I don't think so. I haven't heard from him this morning, so.
SWF will never not be the best way to play the game, or just the better way. Communication wins war in real life. I don't know why they even try to that.
The problem is I think they're still, the problem, Corpse, is I think that they're trying to hold on to this idealistic vision of Dead by Daylight, where they try to balance it around the survivors not having comms, while at the same time they have third-party software to avoid that. Frankly, I think they should just add a voice comm into game and get it over with, but not everyone agrees. Damn it, that was so shit. I've been over blinking. The amount of times this last couple days that I blinked when I didn't have to and it screwed me over is like annoying. I used to know this shit intuitively. Oh well. Yeah, it wouldn't matter. The only thing that would really... Yeah. Well, of course. Yeah. I don't know how you did that, but I'm guessing you have Dead Hard. Alright, go on. Why do people have to just BM? Just fucking leave, dude. Not my fault you don't do anything difficult. Anyway. But yeah, I think this has been a pretty fruitful little discussion. And I got to post a little more gameplay than normal, even though it's me failing. Then again, what am I supposed to do against Vault Speed build Iron Will? I'm nurse. I need to be able to hear
I
people.
think they should just stop with the competitive part. DVD is not a comp game in any way, shape, or form because of how simple it is.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, Corpse. If you give up on the competitive part of the game, that's basically saying, hey, you know, players who took the time to get good at this game, fuck you. We got your money, now now we don't care about you. Well, that's kind of fucked. It's Well, at the same time, Smash tries to make sure they balance things properly, and they make sure to do it in a proper manner, where it's not going to completely neuter the character, but at the same time... Yeah. 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 I think I see what you're saying, though. Yeah. Yeah. But that doesn't stop him from trying to make it balanced, and that's the point I'm trying to get to. Whether you view the game as a party game or a competitive game, it's neither one is an excuse to avoid balancing properly. Because a unbalanced game is just going to end up being frustrating, and then if you don't address those issues, it's basically why I stopped playing Call of Duty. I got sick and tired of it feeling like they never changed anything that needed to be changed, and then changing things that didn't need to be changed. That's a perfect example of it just gets frustrating until it's just not worth it anymore. And a game like this needs its player base to succeed. Because a game genre like this isn't exactly super popular. This game has survived and overcame every other game that has tried to compete with it. And that's great. But that doesn't mean they can't do more, or shouldn't do more. Anyhow, before we continue talking, I think this is a perfect spot for me to end the recording for the video. I will keep streaming, of course, because I just started. But, for those of you watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you found it informative. And thanks, Blackwing, for adding to the video. That was actually pretty awesome. Oh well. Even if... It's alright. I think they get the gist. But, basically, he made a couple analogies about how Spirit and Nurse are more like... Yeah, he made a few Smash Bro analogies, basically talking about how Spirit and Nurse, for those of you who are wondering, they basically have less options than other killers do. Like, against a Trapper, like he said, you basically have every option available to you, because what is he? He's just an M1 killer. He can't do anything. But Spirit and Nurse, they can bypass and counteract the defenses survivors usually employ, and that's why you gotta play against them so differently from everybody else.
They can hear me. I can get my analogy again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, going against Trapper is like going against Ganon. He can choose one of like 4 options and try to cover it. Meanwhile, Spirit Nurse can cover like 2 or 3 with what they're doing. That's basically the analogy.
Yeah. So yeah, once again, I hope you found this somewhat informative. Sorry if it was a bit skewed because I didn't realize you couldn't hear him, or I would have been a bit more repetitive as to what I was saying, so I could properly focus it. But I think they get the gist.
I also didn't realize they couldn't hear what I was saying.
Yeah, it's alright. It's all good. But yeah, if you're watching this video, once again, hope you enjoyed the discussion, if nothing else. And yeah, I hope you'll join me on my streams here, or just wait for future videos. Have a good day.